Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I think we have everything. I think we have everything that we could ever need. Right? It's Thursday. Let's have some energy, right? Let's have some positivity. Thursday in January. What else are you going to be doing? You know? Why not be here right now? Just having fun, just hanging out. Just hanging out on the internet like we do. And that's the plan. That's the plan. It's kind of funny because just about when I start every stream, there's this impulse to say something like, "Oh, I just kind of feel like relaxing today, like just having a really nice, chilled out kind of experience." And then I realize that that's what I want every time. There's no reason, like there's no special reason to say that one stream should be more chill than the other. I think that's the general tone that we're going for with a lot of the streams, Anyway, we already have a couple of things. I did see that Samuel Kim was here last week, so thanks for joining us once again. But I think their first comment was posted before the stream started. It just says, "I'm a bee there," but bee spelled like a B instead of a B, which always makes me think of Aladdin with Robin Williams, because of his bee pun in that one. That's like the most iconic bee pun that I can think of. Anyway, so I assume Samuel wasn't here already. They will come along soon. That's very nice. It's very nice to come along back to the stream. And here's Purple. Welcome, Purple. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Purple says hello. What is that? An iPad. I think that's what it says. And yes, sort of. It is an iPad. I bought a cheap adapter to go from Lightning port to HDMI. And I have that going through a cheap capture card into the computer, because I've tried to do some iPad animation drawing stuff on other streams, but the only way I could do it was to have like a webcam pointed at the iPad here in real life, off-screen footage of the iPad, and it was not good. That was not a good way to do it. So for now, this adapter is kind of working. It is cropping some of the screen. It's also delivering a different aspect ratio than the iPad itself, which is not great. But, that's okay. This was not the most expensive adapter. And maybe the aspect ratio is something that I can mess with. Am I gonna ruin it? Maybe I just won't mess around with it. It's okay. It's okay if it looks smushed, right? That's okay. The only weird part is when I rotate the canvas here in Procreate, it kind of looks like it has a 3D effect. It's also very laggy. So I apologize if that bothers anyone. I think that's the best it can do, honestly. But that's what we're here to do today. I'm just going to be doing some animation stuff in Procreate, which is a very nice iPad program. I'm sure it's on Android systems as well. But it's great for doing a bunch of different just visual arts stuff. It's not specifically designed as an animation app, but I think it works pretty well for the very simplistic kind of animation that I tend to do. So it just treats different layers as their own frames, and then that way you can sequence them together like you would in an actual animation program. Specifically what I'm working on today is some more stuff for what I hope will continue to be like a series of animated shorts called Advice from the Future. And so this is more or less our same character from the first episode of Advice from the Future, but we're using a different color and a different sort of intro animation segment. So this is what I did the other day, and I'm sad to say that it took me kind of a long time. The idea was to have almost like musculature form around these little nodes and then it would sort of fill out. But I think I ended up kind of rushing it, and like, I don't know, I'll show you what it looks like, I guess. Again, I apologize for the lagginess that you'll get from the capture card, but like, this is the general idea. So we have some bounce with the different nodes coming in, and then sort of the fibers sort of form and interlace a little bit. Not the best looking thing, not the most complicated thing, but that's what I have so far, and I'm just going to try to do some really basic, more or less on-model stuff of this character in place, and then I might add some facial features, because that was something that I did in the first one where I had, like, you know, there were like fake eyes being dropped onto him, and then they slowly drip away because it's just a big glob of goo or something. So I don't know, I don't want to just do that exact same thing for every one of them, but that general idea is something that I like. So so we'll see. And if anyone has any like ideas, you know, then please let me know. And Hugo's here. Welcome, Hugo. How's it going? Hugo says, "Oh no, lag, like the old days of dial-up we're going." Yeah, I bet, right? If it helps to like reset your balance, you can look at the cat footage, which is far less laggy. And thankfully, in terms of the stream itself, I'm not actually dropping any frames, which is great, because I prefer not to. Now, how can I arrange my desk so that I can speak into the microphone, but also, yeah, I might have to do some arranging here. Let's see. Let's just do something here. Anyway, most of this animation stuff's going to be kind of mindless, so we're just going to chat. But how's things going? We're still in January, which is unfortunate for everyone, I think. And it's been a very long month for me, but I hope everybody's doing well. What's been going on lately? What was I doing this week? What was I watching this week? Well, I mean, I guess I made videos about most of it. I made videos about the animated stuff that I watched this week. I made, Hotel Transylvania 4. I watched that on Amazon Prime streaming video. Amazon Prime alone never seemed like a very good name for that service, because you just think Amazon Prime, you don't think of the video portion of it. Made a video about that. What else? I saw Beowulf 2007. I watched that at some point. Made a video about Beowulf. What was the other thing? Oh, the other thing was the Cuphead trailer. Oh my goodness, we could probably talk for a few days straight about the Cuphead trailer, but there wouldn't be much of a point because the show is almost here, isn't it? It's like on us basically. The Cuphead show is just a few short weeks away, or long weeks, depending on how things are going for you. But yes, the Cuphead show is something that it's something that... Here, let me turn down the music a little bit. That's a bit much. I just have like random video game music in the background. Well, video game music that I like. How about DK Mountain? Ooh, still very islandy. Yes, tropical. Motorcycle. There we go. Oh, the melody's in the right headphone. I was like, why can't I hear the melody? Anyway, Cuphead show. Oh, I was gonna arrange the microphone better. Hold on, I got a very complex system here. Yeah, how's everyone doing? What's going on? This isn't about me. This is about, you know, the sort of social experience of doing a stream. What's going on with everybody? What did you watch? Hotel Transylvania 4? Transfermania? I don't know why they couldn't put the 4 in the title also. You know what I mean? like, I get that they didn't want to just call it Hotel Transylvania 4, but why not both? Why couldn't you include both of them? I think it sounds better with both. I try to secure the wires a little bit so that they're not sliding around all over the place. And I think I missed a comment here, so I'll get to it in just a second. Why is this not working? This is, yeah, okay. Okay. What do we got? Purple says, congrats on your first controversial video, by the way. 4K views and the most angry comments. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Purple, I guess you were only here for a little bit last week, Purple, but we talked briefly about, like, the situation surrounding the Smiling Friends video, which I still think is very funny. And I haven't even checked the numbers, so it's over 4,000. I guess it was at 3. It was over 3 in, like, the first day or two. And it really plateaued after that. But yeah, tons of angry comments that I just stopped engaging with after a while. I didn't have the energy for it. But anyway, yeah, I still don't like the show. And as I found out a little bit later, a friend of mine who still goes on 4chan, I don't really do that. It's not really my deal. But he was saying that at least on 4chan, a bunch of people were talking mess about Smiling Friends, and they were like, "Oh, it's not very good." So where was that? Like, where was 4chan when apparently the rest of the internet's teenage boys were like yelling at me for not liking the show? What was 4chan busy with? Don't answer that. Anyway, so I know that I'm not alone in my general dislike of the show, but yeah, people were very mad about that. There was also one of the comments that I thought was very funny, ironically enough, on the video. Someone saying like, "Oh, this is such a bad and unfunny review," and I was like, "Unfunny? Like, what is it? Am I doing comedy? Like, what was I telling jokes? I don't think that was a funny video at all. Is that just like an expectation now that like all reviews of stuff for like media criticism stuff is also has like a humor element? I mean, I try to do that sometimes, but no way is it like the standard. So I thought it was kind of weird. I was like, what funny? What funny did you want from me about the show being bad? Anyway, but yeah, that was that thing going on. Hugo says, did you ever watch Danger and Egg and or Costume Quest? No, I'm barely ever on Amazon Prime Video to begin with. It's pretty rare. Although I did watch the Being the Ricardos movie the other day. But I had forgotten both of these titles, so I guess it's good to bring it up, because then I can write them down somewhere so that I maybe won't forget. But I do remember hearing them at some point. Danger and Egg, and then yeah, Costume Quest. We talked about the connection to the Double Fine game, right? Isn't that based on the Double Fine video game? Costume Quest. Okay, there's that. And Nicholas A. Hello, Nicholas A. Thank you for joining us on the stream. Says, on Hotel Transylvania, love is understanding and not transformation. Guillermo del Toro. Interesting. Was that? I'm very curious to hear. Was that specifically a comment he was making about the Hotel Transylvania movie? I don't think so. It sounds like it was just like a relevant quote to the title and everything. But that's a nice quote. I'm on board with that. Or maybe it's even a line from Shape of Water. Why was I thinking of Shape of Water earlier this week? I'm really not that crazy about that movie, but for some reason it came up in my head this week. I don't really know why. Anyway, but yeah, thank you, Nicholas. That's pretty funny. I mean, he's right. Del Toro, he's right. He knows what he's talking about. You know, he's not messing around. And that is, I mean, that's ultimately like the very basic lesson of the movie, right? Which is, I mean, spoilers kind of for Hotel Transylvania 4. Um, is that it's one of those movies where they just tell you the theme at the very beginning, but then we still have to get through the entire movie for one of the characters to like really grasp that idea. So it's brought up within the first I don't know 5 minutes of the movie. Girl, vampire daughter, played by Selena Gomez, maybe, says like, no, you know what, my husband Andy Samberg guy, he doesn't need to change because I love him the way he is. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole point of the movie. And of course it takes not Adam Sandler Dracula the entire movie to get to a point of saying, oh, he's fine the way he is, he doesn't need to change for my daughter, he doesn't need to change for me, you know, he's a good person, whatever. So I wasn't especially impressed with how long it took not Adam Sandler Dracula to get around to that whole understanding, that idea. So yeah. I was not crazy about that. The storytelling aspect of the movie, not at all. Tons of the visuals I thought were really neat. And I don't know, I still keep seeing people just talking trash about it. And like, yeah, it's a bad movie. Not everything about it is bad. Samuel Kim says, "Sup, man?" Hello, Samuel Kim. Thank you for joining us. I was saying earlier I saw your comment that was there on the stream before we started, and there you go, Samuel Kim, true to their word, here at the stream to join us, which is very nice. We're just I'm doing some very mindless animation stuff, and then I'll maybe try some more ambitious stuff in just a moment. But for now, yeah, we're just hanging out, just having a talk. How are we talking? Oh yeah, the Amazon. Thank you again, Hugo, for mentioning those show titles, or I think they're shows. I don't think they're animated movies on Amazon Prime. I will try to take a look at those when I can. What else is it? Hugo also says, yes, the show Costume Quest is based on the video game, and the showrunner was the guy that did Over the Garden Wall. Pat McHale, I think Pat McHale was the creator of Over the Garden Wall, and of course he worked on Adventure Time for a long time. In fact, the character of Party Pat is supposedly based on Patrick McHale. So that's cool. I mean, based on Over the Garden Wall and Adventure Time, I like his work. And I've not played the game Costume Quest, but I think it's on Game Pass, so like I should just do that, right? I think that's the whole point of Game Pass, is you just kind of get whatever. Like Supermarket Sweep. Do you guys remember the version of Supermarket Sweep that they used to do in Toys R Us? Maybe I'm showing my age with that, because I think it was like late 90s, where they just set a kid loose in a Toys R Us with a shopping cart and say like, okay, you got like, I don't know, 30 seconds. Whatever you can grab off the shelves is yours to keep. Which always seemed kind of insane, because like, yeah, it's fun, especially if you're a kid. You're just like, what? Are you crazy? Of course, that sounds awesome. But like, they would end up grabbing 5 or 6 of the same toy, and no one wants that. No one wants 5 or 6 of the exact same Bionicle guy. They want all of them. You want to collect all the different kinds of ones. You know what I mean? That used to bother me a little bit. Kids were just like blinded with pure greed, like whatever I can get in these 30 seconds. That's all that matters in my life. Oh my gosh. And what did the parents do in that situation? Are they just like, well, whatever. They have 1,000 toys now, so, you know. Don't need anything for Christmas, I suppose. Okay. This is all right. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Let me catch up here. I'll keep the screen from wobbling all around for a little bit. Samuel Kim says Shape of Water. Knew it was weird, but I gave it a watch, and can't lie, it's pretty far. It's pretty good. No, I don't have any like big problems with Shape of Water. It was an interesting choice for Best Picture that year. Not that the Oscars matter at all, because they really don't. Except in terms of like the careers of the people involved. Like, it can really do something for your career if you produce an Oscar-winning movie or whatever, you know. end up getting more money in your next negotiation. Anyway, but Shape of Water's good. I mean, Del Toro in general, like, come on, he's he's very good at what he does. He sort of elevates what would otherwise be considered sort of genre fiction premises and concepts with more like highbrow art house execution. It's a great combo. I think it works really well. And yeah, he has a very impressive career. He could just stop. I won't say die. I don't want him to die. And I don't want him to stop making movies either. But if he decided tomorrow, I'm done making movies, he'd be fine. He'd have a great legacy. You know, it would be A-okay. And I think he just came out with that new one. What's the new one called? Nightmare Alley? I think that might be it. Something stupid like that. And it looks like weird drama, crime, period drama stuff. I don't understand. Anyway, but no, Shape of Water, say okay. Say okay. And I saw that lead actor, the woman whose name I forget, who doesn't speak. I saw her in something else recently. I was like, why do I remember her? Nicholas A. says it's a big theme in Encanto as well. I assume referring to the previous quote about like love is its understanding, not transformation stuff. Yeah, Encanto's another one. I haven't touched it yet. I wasn't sure if it was another one they were charging cash money for on Disney Plus to watch it for a certain amount of time, and then it would become free to subscribers. Anyway, I haven't watched it. I've heard different things from different people. Generally speaking, the people who already like a bunch of Disney animation movies, contemporary stuff anyway, are just like, oh, it's fun. It's a cute little movie. It's a nice song, stuff like that. And then some other people I know who aren't really into that kind of stuff are just like, it's not very good. It's a little bit like it's choking on its own pretension a little bit, like it's trying really hard with the positive messaging and it doesn't necessarily come across as sincere. I'm not saying that. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I have heard people communicate that to me. So there are clearly different views on the movie and what it's delivering to the audience. Different types of audiences, I'm sure, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I haven't seen it yet. I do want to, for sure. So who knows? Maybe make a video and no one would watch it. Any of the big Disney Pixar stuff, it's almost not worth talking about it on smaller channels like mine, because there are literally thousands of other bigger channels who are, going to dominate the search results. So it's kind of like, okay, not super useful. Hugo says, what? Spoiler, I've yet to see the movie, and it's ruined now forever. Lol, it's cool. I think I've spoiled. I think I've spoiled multiple movies on this stream alone. At least minor details, whatever. Not Encanto. I don't think I've spoiled Encanto, because I haven't seen it yet. A lot of songs. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing the songs in that one, because that's just... I guess he's just set for life now. Hamilton alone would have set him up for life financially. But then he also has this, in-house songwriting gig at Disney. Like, that's a whole other career. Like, that's a whole other person's worth of, a lifetime worth of money. You know what I mean? How can you say no? How can you say no to these insane paychecks? If Disney says, hey, we got some work for you for 10 years, you say, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I'll go ahead and get that private plane and a compound up in, Big Sur, Van Nuys. Am I caught up? I'm not caught up at all. Nicholas A. says, Toys R Us Supermarket Sweep does have a permanent memory. Thank you. Good. I still don't know the name of it, because it wasn't called Supermarket Sweep, because that was like a whole other show on a different network way back when. What was it called? Toys R Us Kid? No, that's too simple. Too obvious. I don't think that's it at all. I'm sure someone can look it up. But that's the thing that happens too. Some stuff that you watched as a kid, or at least, I guess this is less of a thing now because we see so much old stuff uploaded to YouTube or just, Daily Motion sometimes. So you can find evidence of all the shows that you watched as a kid. But I remember quite a while back, I don't know, I want to say early 2000s, where I was trying to remember what I now know is Nick Arcade. but I didn't remember the name of Nick Arcade. I was just like, okay, there's a game show with kids, and the kids would go inside the video games and do stuff and like interact with the games. And I was like, that was so cool. What was that? And everybody I told was like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of anything like that. I don't know what that is. Maybe you're just making it up. But no, it's real. And it's called Nick Arcade, and it's pretty okay. And you can just watch it on YouTube. Not a ton of episodes, but it's there. Anyway, I'm sure there are also uploads of that Toys R Us thing somewhere. But I still don't know the name. So if anybody has that, go ahead and shout it out. That's that. Samuel Kim says, or asks rather, have you watched Peacemaker? No, I haven't. And the only reason I'm like aware of Peacemaker is because a banner ad popped up on Rotten Tomatoes the other day when I was looking up the scores for Hotel Transylvania 4 and the other movies in that series. But let me do a quick search because, at least based on the image, I was curious about it, sort of. The trailer and promotional stuff has all been very popular. It has many millions of views already. Could you tell me, I was hoping the description would give me some info, but they're not doing that. There's a guy, I'm sure I'm supposed to recognize this movie star person. I don't know who it is. Is he a wrestler? Kind of looks like an ex-wrestler, doesn't he? He's wearing a... Oh, is this like yet another, like Kick-Ass kind of thing? Of like, it's just a guy, but he's gonna do superhero stuff? Is this related to the Watchmen universe? I know HBO Max has the Watchmen show, right? Which I think just died right away. Anyway, they're shooting guns. Okay. Anyway, I have not seen it at all, clearly. I do have access to HBO Max, so I could see myself trying it out at some point. But yeah, as of right now, I got no read on it. I don't even know if it's out, honestly. But yeah, if anyone else has seen it, feel free to share some impressions, some thoughts on that one. Because I don't know the first thing about it, really. Hugo says Nightmare Alley. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a reboot of a movie of the same name from 1947. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. It almost looked like they were going for a comedy tone. Which is not necessarily something I would expect from Del Toro. The cast is a bunch of famous people. We shall see, I guess. Yeah, I probably won't see it in theaters, but I was curious about it. Hugo also says Lin-Manuel Miranda is great. I heard some of the songs. They're great. Can't wait until it's not free, or maybe until it is free. Maybe it's still not free right now, but we're on our way to that point. And then Hugo says the show Peacemaker, it's a hard R on it. As in the pronunciation or like the writing? Peacemaker. I couldn't have the audio from the trailer going because I'm streaming right now. But this is okay. I kind of like the visual texture we're getting from whatever this brush is that I'm using. They call it something goofy. What's it called? It's called Oberon. I opted against the Eagle Hawk brush, which is a distinctly different style. Look, this is the Eagle Hawk brush. Doesn't it just scream Eagle Hawk to you? Which is not an animal that exists. Back to Oberon, please. Did it save the size of the brush? Perfect. Thank you, Procreate. It's very nice. Anyway, what else we got here? Yeah, Lin-Manuel, he's a good songwriter. I have no problems with that. Purple says, do you have a mechanical keyboard with blue switches? I do. That's not the one I'm using. That's a different keyboard. But it's way, way too loud for streams or recording anything. So there's no way I would use a mechanical keyboard on the stream. Unless it was like in its own soundproof little box and it wouldn't pick up on the mic, but it definitely would. This is a nice cheapo keyboard that I really like. Hugo says that Peacemaker is a follow-up to the movie from the Suicide Squad, which is a kind of reboot of Suicide Squad, but with many different characters. And it was directed by James Gunn, because James Gunn got half canceled, so he wasn't going to work on Marvel stuff anymore. So he directed the Suicide Squad, and people liked it. And so now they have spin-off Peacemaker. Got it. So if I had seen the Suicide Squad, I would have a better idea of who the heck Peacemaker is. But since I didn't, I don't. So that explains it. But thank you for the information. And Samuel Kim says, thoughts on Moon Knight trailer? Oh yeah, I think that was earlier today where I watched the trailer to Moon Knight, and I've heard about Moon Knight before. I think it was one of the D23 conferences from a few years back where Disney said, like, hey, we're working on a Moon Knight thing as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it just sounded really goofy. And of course, the source material for Moon Knight is indeed pretty darn goofy. Like some of those old comic book storylines for Moon Knight are just kind of certainly weird for sure. At times wacky, I would say. But anyway, yeah, I watched that trailer earlier today just because why not? Like I'm not super into Marvel anything at all. But I do get curious, and especially when something's blowing up, all of these trailers for any new Marvel stuff or new DC stuff or Star Wars stuff gets so many views. People are apparently very, very interested in it. There are a lot of people talking about these shows and movies online. So I figured I'd check out the Moon Knight trailer. Anyway, getting around to the point, my thoughts on it are that it looks kind of fine. It looks okay. I mean, certainly in terms of color palette, it's got to be one of the most desaturated show. It's a show, right? Not a movie. I think it's a show. Anyway, regardless, it's one of the most desaturated things that I've seen in a very long time, and maybe that's like part of the plan. Maybe at some point they'll try to bring in some more color, some more saturation. But for the moment, yeah, almost everything is like, thanks, phone, gray and off-white, which is okay. You know, Villeneuve, a lot of his stuff is very, very desaturated. Dune was very gray and brown and beige. But anyway, so yeah, visuals fine. It looks, you know, it looks good. A lot of the Marvel stuff looks good, generally speaking. It's Oscar Isaac, right? Did I have to check because I don't just want to guess. Moon Knight show. I'm sure their SEO is very active right now. Yeah, Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. Oh, that was Ethan Hawke. So that's my general thoughts on Moon Knight. Is seems okay. Nothing about it really drew me in. I'm a pretty big fan of Oscar Isaac, I think I could say. I've liked a lot of his work. I think he's done a very good job of choosing really good projects. He was very good in Dune. Ex Machina, obviously. He was good in Star Wars stuff. And now he's going to Marvel. How many other people have done that? Have transitioned from, like, the big Marvel stuff to Star Wars stuff, or vice versa? Like, they're in Star Wars reboot stuff, and then we're also in, like, there can't be too many people who can pull that off, right? I mean, I know that Disney wants name recognition on a lot of this stuff, but my gosh, that's some pretty big fish, you know? That's some real big fish, so to speak. What am I doing? I can't just have this guy just standing there the whole time. How long have we got of this going here? Yeah, it's about time for something to happen in the animation. So I'm going to think on that for a second. Please let me know if you have any recommendations. Phone on mute. Okay. I'm so far behind. Hugo says there are 4 episodes out of Peacemaker, I think, so far. Kind of funny. Rated R. Gotcha. Okay, noted. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be motivated to check that out too much, but yeah, people are excited about it. That's cool. Samuel Kim says, one of the main cast died yesterday in a ski accident. Oh, of Peacemaker specifically? I mean, regardless of what show they were on, that's very sad. Was it in Tahoe? It seems a lot of famous people die in ski accidents around Tahoe. Anyway, sorry, it's not funny that someone died. But that is very sad. That's very sad. I was not up on that piece of news. Nicholas A. says, starts with a quote, "The monomyth is often described as containing the stages of journey, transformation, and return. I like that Del Toro has opinions on that. Do you think the hero's journey is ethical or logical?" Oh, well, thanks for the comment, Nicholas A. Yeah, and this is relevant to, that was the whole thing with the Beowulf video. And the hero's journey is something that, in general, I do have a lot of thoughts about. And I'll try not to share all of those thoughts here right now because I think it would just be way too much. Basically, a lot of people, including tons and tons of contemporary screenwriters, fiction writers, people very much involved with contemporary storytelling, a lot of them seem to really still love the idea of hero's journey. Hero's journey was more or less like the one-to-one structure inspiration for the very first Star Wars movie back in '77. George Lucas has talked about that on a number of different occasions, and he even attributes a lot of the success of the Star Wars series, especially the early trilogy, to the fact that it adhered so closely to the hero's journey, which has been, reiterated thousands or millions of times throughout the course of human history across every culture. So there's that. Some more contemporary people, Dan Harmon, of Community and Rick and Morty, most famously, is a big fan of the hero's journey. If you've ever seen anything about Dan Harmon's Story Circle, it's basically just a version of the hero's journey, and he's very open about that. He's very supportive of the idea that of course we can still use this structure, and if you're not paying attention to this structure or using it, don't be surprised when things go badly. Anyway, personally, and I'm a professional writer. I've written a couple of books. I'm obviously nowhere on the level of the big names. I'm nowhere near Dan Harmon. I'm nowhere near the giant fantasy writers and stuff of our time. But I do like to think I have a little bit of knowledge of storytelling structure and what I think is interesting and ethical and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of the hero's journey. I think it's well past its time. I think we've gotten just about as much from it as we possibly could have over the course of several millennia. And I don't mind people using that basic hero's journey structure. And you could argue it in certain ways that basically every story, whether it was meaning to or not, does still use the hero's journey structure in some way, because you can even simplify it as much as to say, person starts in the world of the familiar, things they're familiar with, something big happens, and then they go back, but they're a different person then. You can apply that to just about every story. You can talk about taking a trip to the grocery store. Start out at home, everything's nice and comfy. Go to the store, technically unknown. It's not where you're most comfortable. It's the outside world. Other things are happening. You say some things that happen in the store, and then you come back home. Technically, the hero's journey structure in its most basic form. But yeah, no, I just think that such strict adherence to the hero's journey structure for so many years has essentially amounted to a bunch of missed opportunities to look for other storytelling forms, or just I think it's important for the human race in general to attempt to do something new and interesting, specifically when it comes to art. The relationship between culture and art and human history is a whole other thing. I'm already rambling. I would not say that the hero's journey structure is unethical or illogical or anything like that. I do still think that it has a great deal of value. It doesn't bother me when people use that structure. But when people try to argue that it's the foundation for all storytelling ever and that we can't stray from it, I very much disagree. I'll leave it there for now, I guess. Get back to the business. But thank you for asking. Yeah, Nicholas, it is something I'm interested about. Hugo says Moon Knight. It's a show on Disney Plus. Right. Oscar Isaac is the star, and sure to be good on it. But I don't know if the show itself would be good. It should be a mix, like the other Disney Plus, Marvel Cinematic Universe shows. Okay, no, that's fair. Yeah, I mean Disney Plus's record with the Marvel shows going directly to Disney Plus, as opposed to the Marvel movies. Yeah, very much a solid record there. I haven't watched a ton of them, as I said. I'm not like a huge Marvel guy. It's not really my thing. But yeah, I've only heard good things about Loki, and some people even like Hawkeye for some reason. And what are the other Marvel shows? And now we got Moon Knight, and I'm sure there have been a number of other ones that I just can't think of right now. But yeah, I don't know. WandaVision, of course. But yeah, it seems like the shows have more opportunities than the movies to do something a little bit different, a little bit more interesting. And that's usually what I'm more motivated to watch. So yeah, who knows? You know, maybe with some great direction and some really good writing, Moon Knight could be awesome. It could be yet another WandaVision, just in terms of like creativity, unique tone, things like that. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. Hugo also says Gaspar Ulliel. Sorry, I don't know about the pronunciations. Gaspar certainly sounds French to me. Gaspar Ulliel is the actor that died, 37. Oh no, and he was on Moon Knight, not Peacemaker. I was wondering if he was on Peacemaker. Well, regardless, I'm sad to hear that. I don't know the guy, but it is sad. And he has a great name, and now a bunch of newscasters probably have to try to figure out how to pronounce his name on the air, which might be challenging. Okay, all right. I've been paying no attention to the animation for long enough. I really need to have something happen with our character here. Okay, what's going to happen with him? Let's look at the frames a little bit more and see how he's been moving while I haven't been paying attention. Okay, everything kind of forms together, and I get this nice little texture. I like that. That's pretty much it. He doesn't really shift around too much. I'm really bad at drawing on model, so if I just keep drawing, trying to draw a character in the same place, in the same kind of position, but will tend to drift a little bit over time just because I'm making these tiny, there are these tiny inaccuracies in each frame, and so since you're building off of the previous frame, they tend to move around. But this is kind of solid, more or less the same size, definitely nowhere near as much movement. I guess he got a little bit taller, see? A little bit taller, I think. You can also see via the onion skinning here. So the green and red bits are shows me where I have ink on the previous frames and where I have ink on the future frames. Anyway, sorry, I feel there's more. Nicholas says, I like that the number 0 was this recent discovery. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, actually. Feel free to elaborate on that, or maybe it's a good joke that I just missed. I'm sorry. I don't know what it's referring to. We've covered so much ground, We look at all the stuff we talked. We talked about Hotel Transylvania for a while. We talked about a bunch of MCU stuff. We talked about some DC stuff, even a lot of streaming exclusive content. We've talked a little bit about animation. We've talked about the hero's journey and Toys R Us show, whose name I have to look up. Toys R Us near me. I don't think that's Nickelodeon Super Toy Run. That's what it's called. Maybe. Other people just call it Toys R Us Shopping Spree. Nickelodeon Super Toy Run. Oh, don't worry. There's a Supermarket Sweep Wikipedia page, or not Wikipedia. It has its own wiki. It's a spin-off of Supermarket Sweep. They have 5 whole minutes to grab whatever toys they can get their hands on. The contest is held at a Toys R Us store. Well, thank you. But then they also had KB Toy Stores as a sponsor. Maybe that was prior to Toys R Us. I don't really know when they got big. Anyway, Change up the music here too. Okay, so it's tough to do the drawing and the microphone is here. Okay, so I want to have our guy have some more significant movement here. So I'll give us some extra frames, but now I actually have to think of something. Okay, so if he started off doing this kind of thing, of sort of forming together, I guess, how about, I'm just thinking of goofy transitions now. I was thinking like maybe, what if we have like bites of him keep getting taken out and then he's gone and he has to transition back onto the screen? That doesn't make any sense. That's like a cartoon commercial bumper transition. Like that's not that doesn't make a lot of sense for what we're doing here. I kind of like the idea of having like more material added. You know what I mean? Like globs, because I do see this as something kind of like very viscous and globby. So what if we have stuff kind of like fly in? I'm not keeping that, but if we have some stuff like fly in, right? I don't know why I just don't. Fly in like this. And then they attach, right? And then we maintain that specific shape, like that specific altered silhouette, right? I kind of like that. And then we can add something else to those sort of additions after that. Maybe put like the facial features on there somewhere. That could be kind of neat. Yeah, I guess that's what I'll go with for now. That's not bad. I don't remember what size I had the brush, but that's okay. And in fact, how about we use some of the frames we already have here of him just like standing around? Yeah, okay. Anyway, Hugo says the hero's journey is a very safe way to tell the story, but it's unethical. Interesting. That's an interesting perspective for sure. Yeah, and I guess the ethics side of it, I mean, certainly in that Beowulf video, the part of it that I was considering was its relationship with hero worship. And I don't want to say that like the hero's journey can be blamed for like the phenomenon of hero worship in general. That's a pretty broad anthropological statement that I have no authority to make. And I don't think it tracks very well. But I do think it's a factor, at least, at the very least, in maintaining, you know, sort of the ubiquity of hero worship, I guess. This is pure observation. I'm just a guy saying this. I'm not trying to, you know, make definitive statements. But certainly from that angle, I could see it being considered sort of unethical, of just like reiterating these cultural concepts that we don't really need anymore and which might cause more problems ultimately. I would definitely argue that hero worship just as a concept is very negative. I'm struggling to think of instances in which it could be called like undeniably positive. Anyway, that's that. Nicholas Hay says the first recorded zero. Oh, okay. So sorry, Nicholas. You were just saying that like going back through history, the idea of discovering like the concept of zero, which is a very interesting idea, right? Just the idea, obviously we take that kind of stuff for granted now, even just like aspects of basic mathematics. But the concept that actually, yeah, it had to be almost not necessarily invented, but yeah, I think discovered is a good word. Anyway, let me read your your comments. Nicholas A says, the first recorded zero appeared in Mesopotamia around 3 BC. Wow, what a good year. Oh boy, I don't know if you guys were around for that one. That was a heck of a time, let me tell you. I think I still have the photos. The Mayans invented it independently, circa 4 AD, and there were Roman numerals. They were Roman numerals instead. I see. Logos isn't pathos. Pathos isn't ethos. I wonder what the monomyth is among the three. This is some heavy stuff. No, I like it. I like it. This is great. But anyway, that was back to the hero's journey stuff. But the other comment was on the history of the appearance or like discovery of zero, the idea of zero. Very interesting, and that it appears sort of simultaneously, because that's something you hear about a lot in, like, I don't know, maybe like an introductory sociology course or something, or like even some psychology settings. They'll tell you things like, here are certain things about the human race that seem to be universal, right? Like certain facial expressions I think are considered to be universal, like smiling, frowning, stuff like that. What else? I guess the number 3 in many different cultures, and this apparently sort of arose independently as far as I remember. But yeah, the three is just significant in many different ancient cultures, ideologies, etc. And you're saying zero was sort of a similar situation, just in the sense of it being kind of universal. Just like, oh, we know zero now. We know the idea of like nothing, or like the absence of thing. Wow. This is great. I did not expect my brain to be twisted. And look at this. I accidentally let the iPad go to sleep, so now oh, where is it? It's here. I gotta put in my passcode, but you can't look at that. And hopefully it'll come back around when I want it to, because it was kind of a pain to get set up. Okay, here we are. Here we are. I'm gonna get drawn now because I had that idea and I'm letting it slip past me. I just gotta do it. Okay. Yeah. From stage left here, we're gonna have this like this thing. I guess it should be accelerating, right? We can change this too in a bit. I just want to get the general idea laid out here. I like this shape better than the one I had in the first frame of it. Okay. And it should also have an arc, right? Like this. And then it's also going to go faster. Here's the world's most basic animation tutorial. Is spacing out your timing. This is too even right here. But yeah, if we even it out, it wouldn't look very exciting. But if we change the timing so it looks like it's moving faster since the beginning of the throw, makes things a little bit more dynamic, doesn't it? And I think I'm going to try to change the shape a little bit, just to give the impression that it's kind of like, you know, morphing as it twists around in the air. Looks like a heart, kind of. Aw, that's nice. Here. Okay. Well, we'll see how this looks. But right now, I think it looks a little bit too even in terms of the timing there. This needs to be some kind of splash, but it can't splash too much because we're trying to keep this shape here some kind of distinctive. That almost looks like an ear. How about that? It's too large though. No, it's not too big. Not bad. But how does that read in the full frame? It's not too bad. It almost looks like a crab eye, you know? Anyway, let's see what that looks like generally. What is it? Yeah, what has everyone else been watching? I guess, well, you already mentioned, a couple of people have mentioned Peacemaker. Apparently people have been checking that one out. Sounds pretty cool. Moon Knight, we got nothing yet, right? Outside of the trailer. You know what I watched? I mentioned that I watched the Being the Ricardos movie on Amazon Prime Video. I guess that's what the service is called. And I love Lucy growing up. I think it's a pretty fun show, you know. I was a fan. And I was curious about this movie. I saw it was directed and written by Aaron Sorkin, who I'm kind of half and half on most of the time. But I watched it on Amazon Prime, and I thought it was pretty bad, actually. Being the Ricardos kind of annoyed me a whole lot. I was not a big fan of that one. just personally, I was not into that at all. Some of the dialogue just came across to me as very, very, I don't know, just standard. So many dialogue cliches that he has that I just wasn't into. Anyway, being the Ricardos kind of annoyed me. And then yesterday, I told myself, you know what? People like that Beatles documentary thing that Peter Jackson released to Disney Plus. Maybe it sounds all right. I'll watch like the first episode because I didn't know it was split up into 3 parts. And I was like, man, 2.5 hours, like almost 2 hours, 40 minutes, I think, for that first episode of Get Back. It's called like The Beatles Get Back or something like that. I ended up watching the whole thing in a day. So I've now seen like Paul McCartney's beard more times than probably some people that I know in real life. I saw a lot of the Beatles yesterday, and I did like it. It's definitely stayed with me. But then again, I feel like when you watch 7 hours or like close to 7 hours of just about anything, it'll probably stick with you. Just like as a matter of course. I don't know, gang. This throw here still looks weird to me. I don't think it looks very good. It looks stiff. Maybe if I had like just some motion lines, I don't know if that would look corny, but we're gonna try it. Okay. Boo, boo, boo. It does look a little bit corny, but it's not bad. And this is where we need our splash, so that's fine. Well, let's see. Maybe like slightly better. How about... Oh, here's an idea. Anyway, but yeah, what's everybody watching? Yeah, that Beatles thing, it was pretty good. I don't know if anyone else has checked it out. I mean, I guess you can't really spoil the Beatles documentary. Like, everybody knows what happens at the end of this one. But yeah, generally speaking, I thought it was all right. I think it's probably unintentionally, it's some really good PR for Paul McCartney, I feel. Like... I think he definitely comes across as like one of the sanest people in the room most of the time. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do a thing with opacity here, where it kind of looks like a smear frame, but I don't know if it's going to have that effect at all. Maybe I would need to drop the opacity even more. Yeah, because if I can have like multiples, you know, of this shape, it's kind of like stuffing more frames in than we're actually using. This might look worse, I don't know. Oh, no. That's way too much in between there. This is just an experiment at this point. I just want to see if it looks kind of okay. Oops, no. Well, let's see what kind of a mess we made now. Oh, I actually think that's a little bit better, weirdly. There's probably a better way I could have executed it. I kind of like that. I also need to like animate it there some more so that we can see kind of the aftermath. I don't know. This is not bad. That's okay. What time is it? 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock. Got to change up the music. What do we got here? Oh, yes. In fact, it's the 7 p.m. theme from the original Animal Crossing game. Anyway, but yeah, I can ruminate somewhere on the hero's journey, I suppose. And it's also one of those things where it's really difficult to, well, not difficult, but I think it's kind of ill-advised, at least for me, someone like me, to make, you know, these big sweeping statements about the hero's journey, just because I don't, you know, I'm not the biggest expert around, and I also think that there are just so many different ways that the hero's journey can be used, right? It's ultimately a tool. This is something we hear about all the time, whether it's like new technology or just like the internet in general or social media platforms. We always hear that argument of, well, you know, the thing itself isn't really good or bad, right? Like YouTube on its own as an entity, and I'm not talking about like the people running it, but just the thing itself is not inherently good or bad. It's just there. It's a tool. It's a portal through which people post things, interact with each other. Same thing with smartphones, right? Smart. Oh boy, can't even say it. Smartphones on their own are not the best thing ever. They're not the worst thing ever. No, it's just a thing, and how we use them determine sort of its role in our lives, you know, whether or not it's a healthy presence, all this different kind of stuff. And I think we can very easily say something similar about the hero's journey structure. Like, at the end of the day, it's just a structure. I guess it does have some consistent, like, themes and messaging elements attached to it. So it's not completely neutral. It's not, like, you know, the most innocent thing in the world. It does have those associations kind of built in, but I can think of plenty of movies, shows, books, whatever, where the hero's journey was utilized in a really interesting way, or just in a way that achieved some really great effect, you know, made for some kind of an inspiring story, or whatever, you know, highlighted something great that somebody did, or created a story that, you know, results in emotional resonance between the audience and the story. All fine, all good stuff. Things that I've seen it used for plenty of times before, and that's very positive. But yeah, it can certainly be used to sort of cushion, or like, what's the word? I think the hero's journey can also be used to insulate certain harmful ideas, or you know, storytelling messages or master plots, like I talk about in the Beowulf video, that are not positive, that are more objectively negative, in my opinion. So if it's being used in that way to reinforce these old ideas that are actually doing harm, potentially, no, I'm not a fan of that. So it's, yeah, I do think it has very strong associations with that function. But that's just me. That's just my feeling on it. Oh, I kind of like how this one's more simplified. Like, it's still the general shape and dimensions of the character we've had throughout, but it's much smoother. Like, this one's ready for merch, you know what I mean? Looks like a mountain in some kind of animated movie, something like that. So let me do a few more frames of this guy, just the body, the main body, and then we'll get to sort of the add-on stuff in a little bit. Smooth, relatively smooth. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at actually matching the previous frame, which is pretty important in animation, as it turns out. A little choppier, but that's okay. I'll drop the brush size a little bit. Hugo says, I feel like the hero's journey is a little too white man focus. Oh my gosh. I mean, well, yeah. Certainly historically, and also just in like contemporary usage, Yes. Yes, it is. And I think even the Matrix. Oh boy, this is a whole big thing. um, if you want a good video on like some of the negative aspects of hero narratives and specifically ideas about like a singular hero or like a chosen one saving the day, which is also I guess leaning into Messiah narratives, but they're closely related. Big Joel, who has a very nice channel, headier stuff, denser theoretical stuff, abstract concepts. He did a video a long time ago saying, like, you know what? The storytelling and the messaging of The Matrix is actually kind of dumb and bad because I'm really paraphrasing, so please don't yell at the guy for saying the stuff that I'm saying here. But the basic premise of the video was, look, yeah, The Matrix thinks it's very forward thinking. The people behind The Matrix have this idea that it's like the most innovative story ever, and it's like doing all this great work, and it's telling a really important story, when in reality it's basically just a hero's journey thing. Again, it's basically just a Messiah narrative about this one chosen guy who's here to save everybody. Oh yeah, and by the way, he happens to be white and a man. Okay, not necessarily something I would interpret as being like a super forward thinking story. Anyway, but I just think that's one like prominent example of basically me agreeing with what you were saying, Hugo, of just like the vast majority of the time, that hero who's doing the cool thing or is here to save the day is not only white and a man, but also tends to be very young, right? Like probably under the age of 30 even in a lot of scenarios. So yeah, it's just these other cliches and potentially harmful tropes are just like globbing on to the hero's journey structure in a way, kind of like this guy, kind of like our alien friend here, who's having a real time of it. He's just trying to give out some advice, but it's a real job. A lot of stuff gets in the way, as it turns out. Okay, all right, sorry, I need to get some water. My mouth is starting to dry out. Nicholas says anglerfish become paler as they approach the bottom of the ocean. Are you saying the phantom of white Jesus is Cthulhu? Is anybody else done with Cthulhu? Like I'm tired of Cthulhu. And yeah, by the way, maybe he is. Maybe this is a sentence. Maybe Cthulhu is ultimate Jesus. You know what I mean? Like if you really think about it for a second. That was a good think about ultimate Jesus, who is maybe Cthulhu. I'm kind of done with Cthulhu too. Like, when was it exactly? That would be very interesting to look at in terms of like recent history of popular entertainment. It was probably came back around in literature, but certainly in terms of TV and movies, Cthulhu resurged. Right? He surfaced again, so to speak, as like just this really iconic image for horror movies, horror TV, horror visual stuff. I've seen some art that's kind of based on some Cthulhu-esque shapes and looks and things. Pirates of the Caribbean, I guess, kind of brings back some Cthulhu stuff in terms of is it Davy Jones who's the one with the octopus beard, like the tentacle beard? What I'm saying is I'm tired of seeing Cthulhu around in every video game and every, like, even just stuff where he's kind of mentioned or referenced, but you never get to see a Cthulhu. That's that. Even The Mist, The Mist, that, like, cheap TV movie based on the Stephen King story, I think, where they're hiding from monsters in the grocery store and there's mist and it makes them all crazy and stuff. Anyway. That's Cthulhu for you. Just a right old hack, No new ideas, that Cthulhu. He's been doing the same shtick for thousands of years, probably millions of years, if you really think about it. Had enough of Cthulhu. Get out of here. Get out of here, Cthulhu. We don't want you around. We want a new crazy monster. That's another thing we need some new ones of. Is just monsters. Monsters that are really good for like multiple, to just be part of like our culture of monsters. You know what I mean? We've got our staples, and they've kind of been added to very slowly over time. You know, what Dracula, more or less something from 1800s, right? Kind of based on a real guy, but an invented monster. And now vampires have been with us ever since, pretty consistently. We've got Frankenstein's monster, of course. I think that was another one in 1800s, right? Mary Shelley, late 1800s. We still have Frankenstein, kind of. He's not super popular. He's too specific, right? Because it's just one guy, as opposed to like vampires are kind of a species, you know. All kinds of ghosts, I'm sure, have been around in various cultural storytelling stuff for a very long time, just because it's so ambiguous. You know, a ghost can be like a spirit of a dead person. It can be like a demon, kind of. So ghosts are probably one of the older ones. Mummies, I feel like mummies are no longer part of this monster culture thing. You know what I mean? Like, mummies... in their basic concept, it's kind of racist, right? Or like at the very least culturally insensitive. And I don't want to I don't want to act like I'm the one to call this out, but no, plenty of people have talked about this. Like, okay, what is a mummy? Depicting a mummy as a monster is basically just saying, oh, the Egyptians used to bury their dead in a very specific way, and when, you know, the Western world encountered that, they thought, ooh, spooky, and you can't really do that anymore. I think RLM talked about this too at some point, probably for the Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, where they're just like, look, mummies can't be that anymore. They can't be dead Egyptian people that are evil for no reason. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So mummies are kind of on the way out. I don't even know if mummies are a popular Halloween costume anymore. Doesn't that feel worse in a way? I don't know. Hugo says, for a very long time, I kept using the soft C, but I still like using the soft C because it sounds funnier. Oh, I see, for the previous. I gotcha. Sorry, it changed profiles, Hugo, so I was confused for a second. I was like, that's a new one. Why is there a new one there? Samuel Kim says, yeah. To something. I agree, though, Samuel Kim. Thank you for the comment. And Hugo says Lovecraft Country on HBO was very good, and Michael K. Williams was good in that show. And it's sad that he did die. Yeah, I think he died sometime last year. No, I liked him. I saw him in, I don't know, 4 or 5 different things. I thought he was very good, consistent in terms of quality. He was great. And I forget, maybe it was you, Hugo, who during a previous stream specifically recommended Lovecraft Country, and I did start watching it at some point because I think it's on Hulu. I mean, who knows how these chips get traded around these days, but I think it's a Hulu thing. And I think I think the first episode's really long or something, like basically a movie. So I watched a good bit of that, and then I just never picked it back up again, and I don't really remember why. I guess it was pretty slow. That's part of it. So maybe it wasn't like hooking me right away. But the quality was clearly there. I think that's Lovecraft Country. I think so. I get stuff confused eventually. Oh, boy, oh boy. But how's it going? How's everybody doing? How are we feeling? I've been going for what? About an hour, a little bit over an hour. I have no idea how long ago. I don't know. I'm glad I'm getting some animation stuff done, even if very slowly. But I'll keep going for a good while, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. It's very casual. That's what I was saying earlier. Just the most casual streams possible. Oh, this is nice. I need some new video game music to play in the background of streams. So I'm going to bring that up here because I want people to recommend video game music to me that I could potentially use in the stream and not get copyright claimed. That's a very important part of this, like, this challenge here. That's part of the project we're now working on, is that it has to be video game music, just for the sake of this conversation. And it has to be from something that's not popular enough to attract copyright claims. This is a thin line to walk, believe me. It has to be like really solid video game music, very fun. I don't care whether it's old, new, whatever. But it can't be from a video game that's so big that they've released the soundtrack on like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, which is even a thing. It has to be kind of obscure. So that's what makes this a real challenge. It's a real brain twister. Is that what they were called? Brain twisters? Mm-hmm. Hugo says Lovecraft Country's on HBO, not Hulu. Okay, so yeah, I was wrong. I feel like I got several details wrong in that big rant, but HBO one. But yeah, I did watch some of it for sure. It's very dramatic, very dark, which would make sense for the material, of course. Samuel Kim says fire, 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 fire. I hope it's not like something to worry about. Like that would be kind of unfortunate if someone's like house caught on fire midstream. That would be a disaster, because you couldn't watch the rest of the stream. Oh, and there's the sirens. You hear them? It's very faint, but I promise they're there. I think there might be a fire. I'm a little bit worried now. Are you okay? Do you get in trouble for yelling fire on a live stream? Maybe if someone heard you in real life, I guess. Man, ooh, that may be sad. I'm not going to think about a house actually burning down. I'm going to step away from that image. Step away into the positivity, into the fun. Hugo says, Lovecraft Country is on HBO. Oh, I already read that one. And Samuel Kidd says, laugh, laugh. Now you're drawing. Oh, that's very nice. It's something. Oh, it doesn't show the passcode on the thing. That's nice. How thoughtful of whoever did that with the iPad. It doesn't show off my passcode. Wow, that's a great bit of design. I'm actually kind of impressed by that. Anyway, fires, things burning down. I mean, I read the Series of Unfortunate Events books. I was a big fan of those growing up, actually. I don't know if anybody else read that stuff. And a while ago, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, I bought the whole big box set of Series of Unfortunate Events, which they call The Complete Wreck or something funny like that. And it has this really nice slipcover for all the books with illustrations from, oh no, what's his name? The illustrator who did the Brett Hellquist or something like that? I think I'm close. Anyway, no, I really liked that series growing up. Of course, it's a running thing through the books, is that like a lot of people they know their houses burned down, or they're trapped in a fire or something like that. And there are reasons for that, but I won't give anything away. And one reason I bring up Series of Unfortunate Events is that that was my go-to, like, I don't know, tween young adult like book series when I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, on my way to 10 years old. I went for Series of Unfortunate Events because I didn't read the Harry Potter stuff. I was, I'll say, lightly discouraged from reading any of the Harry Potter books when I was a young kid, because there was some opposition going around to the books when they first released, in terms of being seen as like something encouraging the occult specifically. So for that reason, or at least I assume that was the reason, I was really not supposed to read the Harry Potter books. And so I just didn't have a big, iconic cultural moment with Harry Potter like everybody else was having, because I just didn't read them. And for a long time, I kind of like, I don't know, how should I say this? I was kind of bitter about Harry Potter in general, and I told myself, well, now I don't want to read the books. I don't want to read the books now. I don't want to watch the movies. I don't want to have anything to do with it, which is kind of tricky because, yeah, up until the last book released, and then, of course, much later, the final movie released, it remained such a huge thing that you just couldn't get away from it at all. Especially in college. I guess it ended when I was like heading to college. But yeah, I stayed away from Harry Potter for the longest time. And then, a while later, I think it was a couple of years ago, something like that, I just decided, oh, what the heck, I want to watch all the Harry Potter movies. I'm curious, you know, people have said generally good things about them. So I thought it would be kind of fun. And yeah, I just got some friends together and we marathoned all the Harry Potter movies in a couple days. And it was great. I'm not a big fan of all of them, but some of those movies, man. Oh, sorry, I'll get back to that thread in a second because I want to talk about the best Harry Potter movies because that's very important to me now. But first, I want to catch up on the chat. Nicholas A. says, I hope you cover Takashi Murakami one day, the guy with the super flat style. Murakami, specifically the fine artist, right? He does visual art stuff, museum pieces, right? I think that's that Murakami. And then there's the other Murakami who does the fiction writing, and I've read a couple of his books, but I think you're referring specifically to the visual artist. But let me check, because I'm sure there's another Murakami that I don't know about. Takashi Murakami. And maybe animation stuff? Yeah, this is Murakami. Yep, that's the guy. That's the guy. Oh, this is an interesting line on the Google. He's known for blurring the line between high and low arts. Very interesting. But yeah, super flat. It's a great term in general, but that idea of just like very, very flat color. 2D depiction of everything. Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff in museums. I think I saw a pretty big selection of his work at the Broad here in LA. It's kind of like downtown LA. I think I saw some of his stuff there. That was pretty neat. He has these, massive, massive murals around, but all in that style with that same sense of color, you know. I want this to go a little bit further out, maybe. I want it to have just a little bit of bounce when we actually land here, you know. Whoops. Go back. What do we got? Oof. That looks way stiff. Okay, how can we fix that? Maybe I should do some more frames. Just see if that helps anything. Anyway, what else? Nicholas A. also says, series of unfortunate events was formative. Why was everything about orphans? And why did it immediately gel with everyone so well? Those are two very good questions, and maybe different questions, unless everybody was into the books because they were orphans. But no, that idea actually comes up in Moonrise Kingdom, if you've ever seen that Wes Anderson movie. It's just pretty good. It's a pretty good one. But Susie, I think, right? Main character Susie is reading the children's books, and they're all about someone who's like an orphan or alone or impoverished in some way. And she's like, I wish I was an orphan, you know, because that would mean I was special. And then real orphan boy's like, no, that's not what that's not what you want. Please don't say that. But yeah, it's funny, just that same idea, you know, exploring that same idea of like, oh, you know, is there something sort of exciting about being an orphan? But yeah, so many kids' books, orphans, or like, I don't know, you know, maybe characters getting picked on at school or something like that. So it's sort of a Harry Potter thing, I guess, in a way. Maybe I can make that more dramatic. That's okay. I can edit that later on. And I want to do some more of the splash stuff too. Okay. Just real quick. Okay. Let's zoom in on this specifically. Okay. Well, I see the first problem. Okay. I'll work on this. Anyway, what else we got? Samuel Kim says, "Lol, me too." Perhaps about the Harry Potter situation. And Hugo says the show on Netflix was good. The writer on the books is also a writer on the show. He did some recon due to now knowing how it ends and not knowing and not when he started the books. Oh. Oh, some retconning, I think. I see. So kind of adjusted things to set up for the ultimate ending. Gotcha. Yeah, Daniel Handler is the actual guy's name. And then, of course, he wrote those as Lemony Snicket. I actually saw him once, like doing a live thing. He was essentially doing a reading, you know. But he doesn't do the reading as Lemony Snicket. He's like, oh, no, sorry, Lemony Snicket couldn't show up. Because, of course, that's the mystery, you know, of that character. So he just shows up. He's like, oh, I'm like his manager guy. I'm Daniel Handler, or whatever he calls himself. And his reading was crazy. Like he does like full on performances basically. There was one point where he was singing a song while playing the accordion. It was pretty impressive. And then he would be like very involved in doing the reading part, and he'll like use different people for bits of dialogue and stuff. That was a lot of fun. That was pretty great. But yeah, I did know he was involved with the Netflix show. I've heard pretty good things about the Netflix show. I also really like the set design for the Netflix show, because I think the set design was done by a guy named Bo Welch. And you might not have heard his name, but he used to do a lot of the early Tim Burton movies. So he did set design, I think, for like Beetlejuice, maybe Edward Scissorhands as well. So like he's very much into doing very exaggerated sets, you know, everything's a little bit heightened. And I definitely get a sense from his work on A Series of Unfortunate Events as well. And the movie was fine. I wasn't crazy about the movie back in the day, but it was, you know, whatever. They tried. It was a hot property, and they figured they would at least try, you know. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get some squash and stretch out of this. But I'm probably not doing a good job because it looks very similar in basically every frame. And it needs to be a little bit more dynamic than that. How's that? Does that look kind of okay? Oh, I gotta go around the horn now. Series of Unfortunate Events. Yeah, no, I have that box set now. I actually bought it because I was originally thinking of doing some kind of video, like one of the book report videos. And then I just kind of thought, like, I don't know, like... Is that your thing? Like how, you know, you rarely talk about books on the channel at all. So then to suddenly do like a weird retrospective about a kid's series from what, 10, 15 years ago maybe at this point. I think the first of those books came out in like the 90s. I'm sure that information is out there for us, so I'm not too worried about it. No one ever gave me any ideas for music to put on the background that won't get copyright claimed. It's very important to me. What was that? Oh, the Harry Potter movies. Wow. That's a very big conversation, isn't it? Yeah, generally speaking, I like the Harry Potter movies quite a bit. But there is a very, what I would call a very drastic jump in quality. And it's not consistent. It's not like the Harry Potter movies, get consistently worse or better from one to the last one. It's all over the place. It's kind of jagged, It's up and down, the quality. Quality is one thing, and then enjoyment is another big part of it. Because when I'm watching a Harry Potter movie, I'm not necessarily there. Well, I'm certainly not there to get a nostalgia kick. Because as I just explained, it wasn't a thing for me growing up. And so I wasn't feeling a bunch of nostalgia for the movies at all. But I like schlock. I like dumb ideas in movies sometimes, if they're dumb in an entertaining way. And I think certain of the Harry Potter movies are so stupid, sort of at their core, or the premise of the story, or just these specific sequences that are just kind of silly. And I love that. So that ends up contributing quite a lot to, figuring out which ones are my favorites to watch. Because I'm not necessarily looking for, the one that's going to have me just in rapt attention, like, whoa, I can't wait to see what happens next. Nah, that's not really what I'm looking for with the Harry Potter movies. Yeah, I'm doing a bad job with this. I also think the frame rate, I don't know, it's not giving me a ton of breathing room here in terms of getting some of this motion right. Maybe I can do real quick I can have the this sort of squash more flat and then stretch out longer. Maybe I can do that in just 3 or 4 frames and it won't be a big issue. Okay. What's this one? Nope, can't have that. Maybe this one can be sort of the long one. It's also hard to get a sense for how exaggerated everything looks when you're zoomed in like this. So I should be checking it in the full frame. Maybe something like that. And then it comes back around and probably flattens out a little bit more like this. Or maybe more dramatically it flattens out, like the first one. I'll check that in a second. Anyway, what do we got? So what are the best Harry Potter movies? More importantly than that, we're going back to Series of Unfortunate Events, because I don't think this is a question that gets asked very often. I don't think the series gets talked about very often in general. But which of the Series of Unfortunate Events books, and no spoilers, we're keeping those out of here, but which book, maybe you need to go pull up a list in another tab to keep track of all of them, because there's so many. Which of them would make for the best movie? Which would make for the most just entertaining, adventurous kids movie of all 13? Which is it? I actually want to know. And now I'm spinning around to look at the books. I already have some thoughts, but I'll save them I'll talk about them in just a second. Hugo says, next time you see Harry Potter, just look at Daniel Radcliffe's eyes, and you can see them blink at different times. It's only in the early movies. Oh. Well, now I have to. Now that's the only thing I'm going to be looking at in the first couple of Harry Potter movies. Is that a thing on purpose? Is that an Easter egg? Or is that just a special ability of his? Oh, that looks so much better. Look. I mean, I have to fix, the frames after that, but there's a kind of bounce. Yeah, that's not bad. Oh, it's much better than it looked before. Oh, you can even see it just scrubbing through here, like, and then I should have it go back up again, just a little bit. Stretch out a little bit. Here. Okay. But no, this is a very serious question that I think should be discussed. Which of the series of unfortunate events books? You don't even have to have read them for a long time. Just the basic, even from the titles, the basic premise of each book. Which one would just be a blockbuster? You know, even if people didn't know about the series, they could just put out this movie and it would just click. Which one is it? It's not the first one, because they tried that and it didn't work out. It's not the first one. What else we got? Reptile Room and Wide Window 2 and 3. Obviously, we've gotten adaptations of those in that original movie, and I assume they did those in the Netflix show at this point as well. What's 4? Is that Vile Village? No, 4 is The Miserable Mill, which I don't remember that one at all, actually. Does anyone else remember what happens in that one? I assume there's a mill. And then Austere Academy. I was way off with Vile Village. That's like 7, right? The Airsats Elevator, and then the Vile Village. Okay, and then what? Hospital, Circus, Mountain, Grotto Hotel, the ending one. Wow, I really need to reread these for real. I'm forgetting everything here. But I think someone has cast a vote, so I have to check. I have to check after getting this kind of there. Okay. Nicholas A says the Denouement Hotel would be a good series movie, or perhaps a serious movie. Either way. Hugo says it's where they work at the mill. Thank you. I had the mill part down. I knew that much, but beyond that, I really don't remember that one. Yeah, Denouement Hotel is very good. I do feel like it would depend heavily on people knowing the series, though. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a hard one to just jump into as a random audience member, I guess. But I think fans would really be into it. That is a good one. That's definitely one of the most memorable ones for me. Has great cover art, too, that one. But yeah, I think the Hostile Hospital would be pretty neat. For one thing, that has some of the best cover art of the whole series, I think, because like as a kid, you wanted like creepier stories, like stuff closer to horror, but it's not like the grown-ups were going to give you the crazy adult horror stuff. So you had to find sort of entry-level horror, right? Like just sort of creepy stories that aren't super violent or anything. And Hostile or Hostile Hospital just came across like, whoa, this is going to be some crazy horror story. And that was so cool at the time. It was like, man, I got to read that one. And I think that's one of the first ones that I bought like brand new day of release, and I got the hardcover and everything. Maybe it was 8, maybe 10. I was pretty late to the series, actually. Hugo says the hotel is a good choice. Has very Rashomon vibes. That's a great reference for referencing Rashomon now. And Nicholas A says they're all pretty sequential, unfortunately. Harry Potter is a prime example of Hero's Journey. Movies like Snowpiercer also do that. Director used to make Parasite. And Nicholas says, is there really an antonym for a parasite? That's a good question, because we have, there's an antonym for like, we have a malignant tumor. Sorry to go to tumors, but it's a good example of opposites, and in relation to physiobiology stuff, right? But yeah, you have a malignant tumor or a benign tumor. So there we have a very clear antonym, a very clear opposite. But in terms of parasite, since it's specifically like a creature that exists in the world, does it have a natural opposite? And then we get into questions of like, what's the opposite of a lion? This is the question I'm asking you now on a live stream on January 20th of 2022. What's the opposite of a lion? And don't just try to think of a big wild dog. No. This isn't a cat. It's not a house cat. It's a lion. What is opposite to a lion? Is it something that like preys on lions? Not much there. Is it like the ultimate prey? Is it something that doesn't live on land but rather in the ocean? Because that's the opposite of a land mammal, right? Is it a bird? I think this is one of the most important questions of our eras, really. But yeah, opposite of a parasite. I don't think there is one. I think it's just so difficult. You need to like invent, some kind of like sci-fi creature that, what is it? So they don't feed off a host and maybe kill the host. They instead give nutrients to a host. A mother? But no, the mom is not, the baby's not the host I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying trying to think of like anti-parasite creature. I'm sure some sci-fi writer's done something like that. Maybe Ray Bradbury took to the page to create an anti-parasite. But yeah, it has to be centered around the idea of giving, right, as opposed to taking. That's the conceptual opposite, but that's all we got, I think. We need to get some researchers working on this. Where was I guess a little bit taller than the last frame. Okay. Okay. Right. And if I like that placement, then I'll just do a bunch more frames where we repeat that exact placement. Maybe I hope I can undo this. I'm gonna delete this frame. I want to compare it without that frame. I do think that's a little bit better. It's a faster transition from like the impact to stretching out. Yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, cool. And then what? Oh, that's already way off. Yeah, I need to try that again. Because I don't want it to keep getting larger. That's not the plan. And then I want to change my onion skin frame to 1. That's 1 frame? How is that? It's 2, but oh, it's 1 forward, 1 back. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Oh, still on the eraser. I'm gonna change the music again too. Okay, that should be like dead on exact to the previous frame. So hopefully it kind of works. Yeah, I think we can go on from there. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you know what would be great, but I don't know if I'm good enough to do this, is that from now on, this glob thing is in place, but if it kind of like jiggles up and down a little bit, like it kind of has a swing to it, but the rest of the character isn't moving. it would be fun if the character was sort of like, you know, looping just sort of up and down, almost like a breathing motion. But I don't think I can repurpose everything we have here just for that. So maybe not, but I like the idea in general. Okay. Hugo says, I thing with Radcliffe. It's a health issue, most likely caused by anxiety. Oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with that. That is some kind of anxiety symptom, I guess, maybe. But talk about anxiety. Talk about having to play Harry Potter in the Harry Potter movies. I mean, obviously it has its perks as well, but come on, that would be a lot of pressure, especially as like a child. Anyway, that's that. Hugo says this Parasite. Were you talking about the movie? I think Nicholas was referring to Bong Joon-ho's Parasite movie, right? The Oscar winner from what, 2 years ago at this point? Nicholas says the movie Parasite is about capitalism, quote unquote, or at least a three-tiered system. Google says the opposite of Parasite is a beneficiary. Oh, but we've seen what Parasite's many public beneficiaries are. Ooh, a clever turn of phrase. That's a nice comment, Nicholas. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's an interesting, beneficiary, but yeah, Parasite has been expanded into a concept, but it also has that anchor of a real life. Oh no. Sound like a smoker. It has that real life anchor of a creature, right? A physical creature, where beneficiary, yeah, it's just a concept, you know. A person can be a beneficiary, but we don't have that. I don't know. It would be fun to have an animal equivalent to that. That'd be kind of neat. Nicholas says like the trimming activist groups, not the people asking for help. I see. Budget stuff, politics. Yeah, Parasite. No, it's not, I mean, with plenty of his past work too, Bong Joon-ho has been very, sorry for the pronunciation by the way, but it's a theme that he's gotten into many times before on some of his previous movies. Not in every one. Snowpiercer is a very clear class conflict narrative, right? It's very, very obvious. And that's not a bad thing. Like that's part of the charm of some of his stuff, is like it's not being subtle about the messaging. It's really trying to hammer something home, and most of the time I think he does that very effectively. But some of his other work, like what was the big monster movie he did? Shoot, I used to know it. The Host? I think it's The Host, which maybe goes back to the idea of parasites again. That's a big monster movie he did that was a little less, you know, I feel like there was less messaging going on. It's been a while since I've seen it, but that was my impression. And his movie Mother is like an all-timer. That's such a cool movie. And it is, I don't know, it's more or less a straight drama. And it doesn't have the fun, like, you know, sci-fi elements of like Snowpiercer or The Host or anything like that. But Mother's just a cool movie. It's just really great performances. It looks gorgeous. It's a wonderful sort of visual tone it has. Yeah. Oh man, I've got to rewatch Mother soon. It's so good. It's hard to Google that movie though, unless you put in like the director's name and everything. Hugo says the opposite of Parasite is the Giving Tree. Is the Giving Tree extinct, by the way? Like, has that variety of tree, that species of tree, just disappeared from the planet? I feel like it might have done. I think there are no more Giving Trees at this point. Or someone took them and put them in their backyard. Samuel Kim says, yes, I've seen it. Parasite Mother, maybe. We were talking about Mother's very good, yeah. What was this? I'll have to go back through a lot of his films soon, but yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, give me just a second here, gang. I'm just gonna grab some water real quick. I'll just let this run so we can give a good think about it. But yeah, I'll be back in just a second. I'm gonna do. Okay, hopefully my voice sounds a little bit better now. Anyway, what we got? Samuel Kim says, "Yeah, I seen it at the Giving Tree back page." That's the name of the sequel, right? Is Giving Tree Shel Silverstein? I think so, right? I used to be a very big Shel Silverstein fan. I think I had almost all the hardbacks of his big poetry collections, you know. That's a documentary I'd like to have. Maybe someone's made one already. A documentary about Shel Silverstein, but I think that'd be fun. Unless he was like a terrible person. In which case, we don't need that necessarily. Do I still have like Katamari music on here? I don't think so. Yeah, I got rid of that at some point. That's a shame. I loved those songs. Here's one. This one, please. Add the VLC. I have to make it quieter because the Katamari songs are very loud for some reason. That's a good one. Okay. And then to the playlist. No, that's not bad. Samuel Kim says his face was on the back, right? Nicholas A says yes. Oh, yeah. Like the guy or the Giving Tree's face. Yeah, I didn't think the Giving Tree itself had a face, but maybe I'm incorrect in that. What brush? Oh, because I was doing that thing. All right. Well, kind of into a groove now. Getting some of the animated stuff done. And an idea I like then to continue this is to have sort of other glob stuff sort of thrown on in very quick succession, right? Within just a couple of seconds. And but thing is, you saw how long it took me to do just the one of them and kind of get the timing looking all right. So it would probably take a good long while to have a bunch more of those, but I still think it would be fun. That's definitely not something that I will be able to finish today. But I'm glad to have, something else to work on the next time I pick it up, definitely. Okay. Maybe I should I'll do all those separately, maybe. Because I can kind of batch the main figure here. I can do that faster. So I'll just stay in that mode for a while. Okay. Oh yeah, and the best Harry Potter movie is Goblet of Fire. That's the best one. In case anybody was curious. Specifically because it's junk. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which I think is the full title, is kind of junk. And I'm not saying the book. I haven't. Again, I didn't read the books growing up. I'm not super familiar with the books even now. But the movie version of Goblet of Fire is stupid, and it's really great. And it's maybe really great because it's stupid. It's just goofy, and it knows it, which I really appreciate from a kids movie like that. It's just so, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it has any real stakes, even though it ends with a very sad scene, which kind of throws off the rest of the movie and makes it harder to rewatch, I think. Despite that, I think it's just a fun movie. And I think I've described it this way before, but like Goblet of Fire, it kind of just feels like a dumb TV show. You know what I mean? Like just some TV show about wizard kids at wizard school and going through wizard teen problems. Whereas the other movies feel a lot more like movies. They feel like the stakes are very high, that we have to worry about the well-being of our characters to some degree, and the villains are very intimidating. But in Goblet of Fire, it's just like, you know, there's probably some bad stuff going on somewhere. But right here, we're having Kid Wizard Olympics. Because it's just a thing that we do sometimes. How often is the Tri-Wizard tournament? Is it like once every 100 years or something? I guess wizards live longer, right? Oh, what a good movie. Maybe I'll put that on tonight. Nice and easy. Okay. Okay, maybe one more of these, and we'll start to wrap up. Yeah, I think it's almost 8 already. It is. Wow, okay. Yeah, the last 45 minutes just kind of went right by me. Man. As much, I don't know why I'm... But anyway, yeah, I'll probably start to wrap up a little bit here. Like I said, I wasn't really planning to have any animated stuff finished by the end of the stream. That's just not super realistic, at least not for this project. But it has been fun. I've definitely gotten plenty of work done on this particular piece, which I really appreciate, because sometimes it's hard to make time for the animation stuff. Gotta be very careful with that. Okay. But yeah, so this is this. This is going to be hopefully episode 2 of Advice from the Future, which is an idea that I actually like. So I'm going to keep going after it for a while. See if I can do anything else interesting with it. And in terms of other channel stuff, I mean, I guess I don't have too much to talk about here right now. But yeah, I've always got other stuff in the works, other projects going, other videos that I'm working on. So we'll see. And who knows, maybe I will end up doing something about a series of unfortunate events just for fun, despite, I think, most people looking for animation most of the time. But yeah, maybe something like that. I've been working on something for a good while now about Canadian animation and like notable Canadian animated movies and shorts and shows. That one's been going on for a long time, so I really have to wrap that up and just put it out as a video. But yeah, that's still going right now. But yeah, other stuff should come to light pretty soon. Watch a couple more of these shows and things that we've been talking about here. I also wanted to see Belle from Studio Chizu, which just came out in theaters. I don't think it's streaming anywhere yet. I'll have to check again. And it's even showing in IMAX for the theatrical release. So I was thinking about seeing Belle. Someone told me it was very, very bad, which is sad to me because I like some other stuff from Studio Chizu, like Summer Wars and Mirai specifically, are some of my favorites, all-time favorites. But yeah, I do like some of the look of Belle based on the trailer, but who knows? Maybe people hate it. Maybe it's just not very good. But I haven't seen that yet. I would like to do that Hugo mentioned some other animated shows that I would like to check out soon. I think they're both on Amazon. And yeah, basically whatever else comes up. The Cuphead show, I probably will do something about the Cuphead show. Because it's just on Netflix. So when it comes out next month, I'll try to watch through it as fast as I can and say something about it. But as I've already explained, I don't really have high hopes for the Cuphead show on Netflix. I just don't. I don't know. I just get bad vibes from it. That's all. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'll try to do something on that too. But otherwise, I think that's just about it, really. Sorry, I did miss some comments here. Hugo says Harry Potter 3 was done by Alfonso Cuarón. Yes, it was. And changed a lot of it for the better. Cuarón did other shows and movies like Roma, Gravity, Children of Men. Oh yeah, no, I'm a very big fan of Cuarón. Roma in particular is one of my it's one of the best things I've ever seen. Children of Men obviously is basically a modern sci-fi classic or post-apocalypse classic, you know. And I even have the Blu-ray of Roma over there because Criterion Collection did a release and it's very nice. But yeah, that's you know, from a more objective perspective. The third Harry Potter movie is actually the best in terms of quality and just storytelling and visuals and everything. That's by far the best made. It's just no competition. That's that. Samuel Kim says, where are you from? It's 11 o'clock in Toronto. Oh, I'm impressed. That's a little bit late. I'm impressed you've stuck around. I appreciate that. I'm in California. I'm in LA. So it's it's what Pacific time is 8 p.m. right now. But yeah, I do want to write some stuff about the Canadian animation. Hopefully, I'll get done with it soon. Hugo says, Toronto, dude, I'm in Dallas, Texas. And I think this is cold at 64 degrees. Now, how you can live like that? Is it 11 degrees in Toronto or 11 p.m.? I guess that doesn't make sense for 11 p.m. if I'm on Pacific Coast. 11 degrees is awful. Yeah, no, that does, and I agree with Hugo. I mean, certainly in California, we never get anything like that, so I'm becoming unused to colder temperatures. I grew up in, you know, snowy area, cold areas and stuff like that. Not as bad as some parts of Canada, but still, you know, pretty cold. So I used to just think it was nothing. And then over time, especially after living in California for a while, I just don't like the idea of having to wear a bunch of layers just to go outside and do things. I don't find that enjoyable. So I'm kind of losing my tolerance for it, you know. Nicholas says, international animation explorations sound great. Yeah, no, ever since I did the one on Australian animation so long ago, 10, 15 years ago, I've been wanting to do a bunch of other countries, and I used to have a lot of drive for it, and I was doing a bunch of research, and it just slowed down after a while. I tried to get some other stuff sort of involved. I was trying to do some interviews for some of it. It didn't quite work out. So it's kind of just been on the back burner for a long time. But Canada is definitely next, and there are a lot of really interesting things to talk about there. A lot of really interesting animators to talk about specifically. So I'm hoping to have that finished kind of soon. And then move on to other places. I definitely want to do like British and UK animation specifically. France is a whole other ball game for sure. I don't know too much of Italy or even like Middle Eastern animation outside of a couple of pieces. I guess Waltz with Bashir comes to mind as like a rotoscope thing. Anyway, yeah, I just want to look all around. It's just really fun to seek out new stuff that I can actually experience for the first time that other people already love. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see really good new animation that you just haven't come across before. And researching it by country has turned out to be a pretty good way to do that. Yeah, that's that. Hugo says, well, I think he was saying it's 11 p.m. right now. But I checked, but he also just checked and it's 6 degrees Fahrenheit. So that was close. Very close, actually. Of course, I don't know what it is in Celsius. I didn't consider that the temperature would have been in Celsius. We'll get to a metric system one day. We'll get there. There's gonna be a letter in the mail in all of the US one day that just says, hey, everybody, like, just a quick heads up, we're using the metric system now. That is all goodbye. Here is a chocolate. It'll come with a single chocolate coin, each of these letters, and we're all going to get one. It's kind of like a stimulus thing. Well, gosh, I think that's about it. The iPad fell asleep, so that's a good indicator. I got the code wrong. But yeah, as always, thank you to everyone who came out and was able to join us for the stream live, and anybody who watches the uploaded versions later on. I appreciate that too. It's basically the same thing. It's just without the opportunity to chat with us. And yeah, as for the moment, I'm planning to continue doing streams Thursdays, 6 p.m. Pacific time. If that time slot changes or the day changes, I'll try to make a note of it just in a thumbnail or something. But yeah, I enjoy doing the streams, and I'm probably going to do some more animation streams specifically, just because it's something easy and kind of entertaining that I can do while still talking to people. And it also forces me to make more time for doing animation and trying to practice and get a little bit better at it. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it for today. Hugo says minus 14 Celsius, so there's a conversion. Yeah, I just need to figure out some of those metric conversions off by heart. Samuel Kim says, hey, see you, bro. I'll see you later, Samuel Kim. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. But yeah, that's that. And I'll start shutting stuff down here. I'll say thanks one more time, and I hope everybody has a real good, head into the weekend here. And just relax. You don't need to do anything on the weekend, really. That's not necessary. You can just kind of play it by ear. It's just a free skate, So please try to enjoy your weekend and relax a little bit. And hopefully I'll have some more stuff up on the channel very soon. But yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by.